Hello and welcome to the Half Court Press Podcast. I am Jimmy Watkins, the Nebraska basketball beat writer. He is Joel Lorenzi, the Creighton beat writer. I just finished driving 6 hours from Minnesota, where Big Ten Media Days took place. So I was like, you know what I want to do? I want to sit still for 40 minutes in a chair again before I have to drive another hour to get home. Big Ten Media Days was fun. We'll get into that. We're going to do a little peek ahead to Big East Media Days, Joel, which is next week. Yeah? It's next week, yeah?
Yeah, next Tuesday.
Yeah, Joel's got dual-wielding Nerf guns right now.
I'm kind of distraught. They just broke the news to me before we started that.
Oh, yeah,
we're getting light switches in here.
We're getting light switches in the studio, anymore. So we're not going to have to shoot at the sensors to make the lights go on. I don't know what. I don't think we're going to get rid of the Nerf guns.
Yeah, I'm going to stay strapped.
It's just going to be. It's just going to be. Honestly, what this does for me, if I'm any concerned Nerf gun user, which is basically, I don't know who uses these besides me and Joel in the office, but it increases the likelihood that if we get a bullet in the hallway in like the main office, which does happen from time to time, that someone's going to come and be like, why do you have these anyways? And we used to be able to say, well, we got to do it because we have the light. Yeah. And now we don't have that anymore. So we got to come up with another excuse.
League going to send Nerf training or something.
Yeah,
online
that's
Nerf
right.
Training.
I still have to do my what is it? Aggression training? Office aggression training. I was too busy being aggressive in the office to do my office aggression training.
For me to do that.
I still want to know what happens to me if I don't do it.
Yeah.
Joel, let's try it. How are you doing, man? I haven't seen you in a minute.
I know, man. It's good to see you actually with the Dreamville beanie on. You got the real relaxed, you drove 6 hours.
I did drive 6 hours. I half showered this morning.
Okay.
Washed my face, little sink action.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm gross.
Yeah.
It's grody roady season.
Well, if it's worth anything, I couldn't tell. Like you,
Thanks, man.
It's cool to see you.
Thanks, man.
Relax like this, man.
Yeah,
you need to do it more often.
Okay. Appreciate that.
Appreciate that. Do it,
people, I've always been told that I'm take myself way too seriously, and I'm a little too uptight. So I should be. I should dress it down. No, obviously, no one's ever said any of this to me. It's the opposite.
Why are you lying to him?
It's the opposite.
Yo, why is he making a habit to lie now?
It's the opposite.
Where is this coming
from? It's the opposite. I'm delirious, man. I didn't sleep very much last night. Big Ten Media Days was yesterday. We talked to Fred. We talked to Sam Griesel. Talked to Derek Walker. Takeaways from Big Ten Media Day. First one was like, dude, Derek is just like way happier. Again, it's the continued storyline of like everyone's just in a better mood.
Sure.
Because, I mean, the games haven't started yet, so it's very possible that they lose a bunch of games. They'll probably lose more than they win, and it turns a little bit more dour in these press conferences. But yesterday, like, I don't know, Derek was like laughing, joking around. He was asking us questions about how we prepare our questions. It's just everyone's in jovial spirits. I think, like, again, I keep saying it. The team it's great vibes. They really like each other. That's a really good thing, especially because last year, I don't know that was always, and they liked each other, but they just didn't. They didn't always get along. Is how I'll phrase that. This team is going to be more unselfish and willing to do the stuff that no one likes doing and sacrifice and all that gobbledygook.
Yeah, bro. I'm not gonna lie. It seems like people are eating up the addition of Sam Griesel because I mean,
they love Sam, man.
Obviously, I wasn't there, but I'm seeing all on the timeline. I think my dog Kevin Sweeney was there. I think I saw Fanta was there. Like all the national people were there, and I kept seeing Sam Griesel. I'm like, yo, like this is a lot more coverage of Sam Griesel than I thought there would be. He's
an easy kid to talk to. He's an easy kid to like. He's smiling. He's always out there openly telling everybody that this is like he's living his dream right now, playing at Nebraska basketball, which is like unusual. That's not a thing that I think most people grow up aspiring to do, right?
What was your dream, Jimmy?
That's a good question. I mean, you could argue I'm living it somewhat right now, but that was like a just dream on the fly. I would have liked to have been in the NBA. That'd been pretty cool.
Thanks. What team?
Lakers. Come on now.
Okay.
Yeah.
What you mean, come on now? Are you showing fandom on the pod right now?
Yeah, 100%. Come at me. Come at me.
Jesus.
It's not an NBA pod. I don't care. Go Lakers.
Whatever.
They're not very good. It doesn't matter. Other takeaways. Here's something I've been working on in my head. So one of the stories that I worked on yesterday, I haven't written yet. I think I'm going to write it next week off of Big Ten Media Days, was about Sam. I just asked a bunch of coaches who have worked or are working with low major transfers making a jump, what it takes for those guys to succeed at the next level. And with a common refrain that I got from Micah Shrewsbury and Chris Holtman, Micah Shrewsbury, the Penn State coach, Chris Holtman, the Ohio State coach, they were saying stuff like, well, it's a role adjustment, but those guys are going to be more open than they've ever been in their lives. Like, you're going from, a school like, I think Tanner Holden, the Wright State transfer, is the one that went to Ohio State, guy where, you have the keys and you're asked to create everything, whereas Ohio State, like, you're fitting you're being asked to do a very specific thing, and if you can just excel in that one thing, it's going to be considered a success, and you're just way lower on the scouting report. The trick there is that Sam is going to do the exact same thing at Nebraska that he was doing at North Dakota State. He's going to, like, Fred basically came out and said it yesterday. Somebody asked him about, like, Sam's versatility on or off ball, and Fred he basically said, well, Sam's going to have the ball in his hands when he's on the court. Like, they're going to run stuff through him. So, Joel, this is, just a general basketball question for you, college basketball question. What do you think is required for it happens every now and again. The general consensus with recruiting in the recruiting circles is that if you're basing your offense or like asking your low major transfer to take a big lion's share of that responsibility, it's at best a crapshoot. So what are the qualities required in that kind of player to make them successful?
To make them successful
in that role, like for Sam, basically, someone like Sam who's taking a major role at a high major school after playing a low major.
You kind of said it. Usually it's excelling in that one thing. I think Sam is in a real peculiar case. I mean, you rarely see this.
I know.
Where and especially, I think it would be more common to see it from a guy who maybe went mid-major to high major from freshman to sophomore year or sophomore to junior year.
Yeah.
But he spent, 4 years?
4 years.
And now is going to...
And he only played point guard for the last 2 of those years.
So it's like, it feels like there's less room to grow for a guy who's already played 4 years of college basketball.
Absolutely.
I mean, what you see is what you get for the most part. So it's harder to expect him to make a jump. I'd say it becomes a comfortability thing and just... having the idea that you could do what you did at your last school, at this school, I mean...
confidence is huge.
For what it's worth, there should be some of that to go around because this is a low-pressure situation. I mean, they're not expected to do anything, so...
Well, yeah, it's low pressure for sure. Like expectations aren't high, but the coach's job is in jeopardy.
Well, that has nothing to do with him.
Sam loves Fred, though. I mean, that's, coach, the players feel that, right?
Yeah, but this isn't exactly Doug McDermott and Greg McDermott. It's not like, my
right.
father's job is
they just met each other 6 months ago.
You know
You're right about that. You're right about that. You make good points. I agree. It's really challenging. I've always said, I said it when they brought Sam in, when they brought Emmanuel Bandamel in, all the AAC is like a weird middle ground between high and low major, whatever. It is very rare that you jump up in competition and also increase your efficiency. That rarely happens.
Yeah.
Why Sam could be a unique case, he's 6'7", he's huge, man. Derek was like rubbing his shoulders. Look at these shoulders. He's huge. He's really, really big.
Yeah.
That's unique. I don't care who you are in the Big Ten. Like, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I don't think there is another primary ball handler who's that tall in the conference. That's going to help him stand out. The other thing is, like, it's not it's not going to be what Alonzo Verge, like, he's not going to be breaking people down. It's Sam, get to a spot and run. He is like, he's like the extension of Fred. He's like the classic point guard. That's what they want him to do. Just like use your size, bump people around, get to this spot, and then we'll run some action off of that. That's why I think it can work, even though he's going to have a lot of responsibility. He's not going to have to be overly creative or beat too many guys one-on-one. I don't think they're going to ask him to do that. Other thing that I was thinking about yesterday, I was asking around my story yesterday. One of my stories yesterday was about the winning pedigree of the guys they brought in, plus Derek, and why Fred went for specifically those kinds of players in the portal, which is basically because last year's team didn't build very many winning habits. They lost early. Fred keeps pointing to this NC State game that they lost in 4 overtimes as like some big turning point in the season. If we had won that game, maybe we win, 4 or 5 more close ones. I don't necessarily believe that. I think the flaws that were true of that team would have hampered them long, even whether they won that game or not. But I understand the concept of confidence coming from something that like you have to have success before you have confidence. It's kind of like a chicken or the egg thing. And so what he did is just like, all right, I'm just taking dudes that already know how to do that, and I'm putting them in here. So another thing I was doing, I was asking around, Holtman again brought in a couple of transfers who fit this mold, like the Isaac Likely kid from Oklahoma State and the McNeil kid from West Virginia. Those are successful programs, well-known coaches that come in, and Ohio State's bringing in a super large recruiting class. A lot of their teams young, so it makes sense what they're doing. And he kind of just like him and Shrewsbury and who else did I ask? I think it was Ben Johnson. I asked a little bit about this. They all kind of just like brushed that aside a little bit. They're like, yeah, it's nice that you have played at a big program before, but we're really just trying to fill holes, needs. And that to me speaks to the idea that these other teams, I think, have more of a proper perspective on the transfer portal, where it's just like, this is our salt on top of our roster. This is our cherry on top, right? Whereas Fred has made the portal guys, they're like the foundation. Like Sam Griesel's going to have the ball all the time. Again, I just said he's not going to be asked to do anything crazy, but he's running things. Emmanuel Bandamel is the best perimeter defender day one. You can pluck him out of the transfer portal. Like Juwan Gary is someone that they're changing their offensive rebounding philosophy around. He's probably their second best perimeter defender. Day one. Like these, and they're also all looked to as leaders for the program, and it's just a challenging mix. I think that the intangible stuff is going pretty well, but I just think that it speaks to where the program is. That's what you thought you had to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you? So how do you get out of that? Because it feels to me, because I think if Fred makes it to next year, I think they're going to do it again. I think they're going to go big portal hunting. And I know that everyone's doing that to college basketball to a certain degree. But, what is the proper balance there between maintaining your own culture with guys that you're developing, 4 years at a time, 2 or 3, guys are going to leave early if you're good.
Yeah.
But how do you build a culture while trying to upgrade talent through the portal like that?
Yeah, and some of it is inevitable, right? I mean, the portal has become so prominent that it's almost an extension of recruiting. You're just recruiting dudes with beards now.
Yeah.
Really, from what I've seen from Creighton, I mean, they don't try to get anybody out the portal that they don't think could fit in their system, which is a pretty specific, they know they want guys that could be part of a free-flowing offense. You're not just recruiting top names or willy-nilly anybody. They want good fits. So it still remains. It's not like, even though with the portal, sure, it could be short-lived guys you're getting, right? But at the same time, I don't know. College basketball is a yearly thing now. I don't think there is such a thing as set culture unless you're I don't know, maybe a UNC or a Nova, those schools that recruit guys knowing that they're going to stay for a few years. I think it's just inevitable, man. It's hard to retain a culture.
It's fascinating that this is happening. We're having this conversation now because I think, if this dynamic existed, and it probably will exist at Nebraska in 3 to 4 years, whoever the coach is, whether it's Fred or somebody else, we'd be more used to it. But right now, it's a lot of people are frustrated by the constant turnover of the program, and I think people I know this is, I don't know. I have a strong inclination this is Trev Albert's sensibility. They want to see teams that are built like old school, like this, and that's kind of what Fred's trying to do with the defensive identity that they're building. But they want guys that are around for 4 years. Nebraska basketball fans, that's what they're used to. That's what That's what Miles did. That's what the old Doc teams did. That were not that good, but
Yeah.
like were brought fans out and kept upset a good Big 12 team every now and again and kept people invested. It's just new ground that everyone is sort of navigating, and I think that the dynamic that I described earlier, the idea that you're building your culture around three guys who just got there, and I don't want to shortchange guys like Derek Walker, who has been here as long as Fred has. He's the only guy. C.J. Wilcher's another good culture guy. Wilhelm Breidenbach is a guy that they are looking to be one of these kinds of people. But Sam is 1A leader on the team. Emmanuel's 1B leader on the team. Juwan Gary is the spirit of the team. These are guys that just got here. Given what I know the fan base is used to and likes, and what hasn't worked in Nebraska, that's a tough rub there.
Yeah,
it's a tough rub there.
And to your point on the expecting players at any program to be there for 4 years, that belief almost has to like disappear, because you look around at how enticing the portal is and how enticing it is that you could change your scenery at the drop of a hat, especially at the first sign of something you don't like, the first red flag if you're a student athlete. I think you look around the country, and I don't even think you need one hand to maybe count the number of programs that are worth staying at for 4 years that you'd be like, oh yeah, I can really see myself there for 4 years. I mean, UNC might be one, but you got to know that you're going to be dealing with high major recruits.
They're going to recruit over you if they can.
And then Gonzaga might be another one. Right. Duke, I don't know if you really like the brand that much. Maybe you stick around at Duke. I mean,
if you're a 4-year guy at Duke, it didn't work out for you.
Yeah, bro. Like
frankly.
You're like a Joey Baker or some shit. Like it just, like exactly, bro.
Yes.
I look around and I'm like, I'm trying to think of a school that really makes sense staying there 4 years, and you could still make the jump that you intended to make when you committed there. Like,
it's the new normal, and I don't know. Again, I think it's particularly difficult for that to be the case when you're trying to dig yourself out of the basement as well.
And on top of that, like, who is thinking I want to go to Nebraska for 4 years? I mean, shit, who's thinking they want to go to Creighton for 4 years? I mean, no basketball player who has recruiting options is thinking I'm going to college for 4 years. Realistically. Too. Yes, that too.
Realistically.
Yeah. Good point.
I mean, I do still believe, I think they all want to come back and get their degrees, but they want that to happen after they're in the league.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because I think now with NIL, it makes it's maybe easier to stay. But I don't think anybody's walking on the campus like, yeah, I'm gonna be here 4 years trying to make. Like Drew Timme definitely did not want to be at Gonzaga for 4 years when he committed, but it's just worked out.
I don't think he wanted to come back this year. I think he went to the NBA. They're like, dude, you're gonna get picked 60th, maybe.
Facts. So it's like the bag has just made it easier for him to stay on campus, and just the options, the outlook, because I mean, especially if you're like a dominant college big, like you got to know most of those guys are not translating to the NBA with their current games, so it's just tough.
That's like what this conversation is making me just think about, like what a good culture is changing. Right. Like I'm thinking of like Jay Wright just retired. Like there's an identity. I think it's more about what your identity is than like what sort of like locker room thing you have going on. That still matters, obviously, like within the particular season that you're playing, but your culture is identity. Culture is your coaching staff, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and maybe it's not having in Villanova's case, a Colin Gillespie year in, year out. Maybe it's recruiting Colin Gillespie types, or recruiting guys that you feel like.
Let's be honest, Colin Gillespie will be a coach on that staff. How soon? We'll see. He's in the league right now. I'm not trying to disrespect him, but like, I could see it.
But yeah, I guess it's just recruiting the guys that kind of fit that mold. I thought the Cam Whitmore pickup was like revolutionary for them, because they almost never get somebody
banged up though.
That's that capable. Yeah, he's banged up right now. But I don't think they never get somebody that capable, that highly touted. Even if they do get a 5-star, it's not somebody who's going to be a top 5 draft pick like he's projected. Like, so that's new for them. But I think usually like the culture should be getting guys who buy in, who are going to be there sophomore, juniors. Like, I think when you're recruiting a guy what his intentions are, and I think they've done a good job of even kind of setting that culture.
Couple fun things, and then we'll move on and talk about Creighton from Media Days. Fred had some. So Fred played in Minnesota. Those were his last 2 years of his NBA career. He played with KG on the T-Wolves team that made the conference finals in 2004 and lost to the Lakers. And he was telling some really good KG stories. One, couple. I think I wrote about 2 of these. And I'll probably write about another one on Sunday. But my favorite was Fred has his open heart surgery. 2 days later, KG shows up at his house.
I heard about
unannounced. Plays Fred's son Jack, who was then 5 years old, in like Nintendo baseball. Wins 25-1. Leaves. That's just incredible. It's like just like that's who KG is. He's an insane competitor. Along the same, like Fred was talking about how KG used to yell at him when he would miss shots that blew KG's assists, and KG would just be like, "Just relax," and Fred's like, "You're not. That's not making me relax." And then the other one. This is just like, to me, this is like the difference. This is what makes athletes just. When you're locked into this grease, like so Fred was sitting up there at the podium. And he has his 2 hands in front of him, like in the shape of cups. And he said that when KG would sit, he would sit with a cup of Gatorade in one hand, cup of water in one hand, and the other hand, he would slug the water real quick, then use that cup as a spit cup. But his hands were shaking the entire time he's on the bench. Like he's just so amped up that he can't sit still. So I love KG. He's just one of my favorite people I've ever played basketball.
Facts.
I
met KG in Vegas this year. Yeah.
That's awesome.
What was crazy was I was in Vegas, and it was during the finals.
Okay.
I was out there for a wedding. It was during the finals. So obviously the Warriors and the hell?
That was an email. I think
the Warriors and Golden State were playing, and so I'm in the hotel I'm staying in has like a whole like. You know how Vegas is. They got a whole, what's it called downstairs? A whole casino, yeah. So he's in there. He got a whole section reserved to himself just for him to be in this big-ass chair watching the game.
That's amazing.
And so when he comes out, and they're like recording him, I think he's doing like a documentary. Okay. I think he dropped some type of like series documentary. Yeah. So I think that was part of it. And so he comes out, and I'm just like, we just chopped it up a little bit, like, what up? He had to go. So, but it was cool. I mean, seeing dude in person, like that was one of my favorite players growing up, like easily still, like in terms of just his personality, like that's one of my favorite athletes.
He's also one of those dudes. He still looks like he can play.
True.
He looks so good for a guy who's been retired for I don't know at least 10 years now, right?
Hell no.
No,
not 10 years.
Almost though.
I'd say it's closer to 5 than 10.
Closer to 5 than 10. Well, yeah, that's right. He hung on with Minnesota a couple years.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Brooklyn. I don't know. The Celtics thing is where it cuts off for me. You'll like this one. Ramel Lloyd, they do I don't know why they do yoga all the time, but they were doing yoga with goats. And
I thought I was tweaking when I read that you tweeted that out. I'm like, go yoga.
Ramel Lloyd picked up one of the pieces of goat poop and didn't know what it was.
What the yo. Wait, so there's actually, you got to describe to me what goat yoga is.
I asked
never
them,
heard of
and
this
Derek was just like, yeah, we just like. They went to like, I don't know, like a local goat farm.
Like in the Swiss Alps or some shit?
No, in Nebraska. Dude, it's Nebraska. You can find some goats. You can find some goats wherever.
I'm trying not to stereotype Nebraska. I live
you can find
in
some
Omaha,
goats.
dog.
I know they were in Nebraska. I think they were near Lincoln. And they have it on their social media. It's just like them like someone, I forget who, someone's like kind of like scared of them. And then some of the other players were like chopping it up with the goats. And Derek said that the goats were like taking their mats and laying on them. I don't know what the point of the goat part was. They just did yoga with goat. They I don't know how to do yoga, but like, downward dog, but a goat is standing next to you. I don't know, man.
That's like, that's
they
not
seem
even
to love
shit
it.
you see
they
in Naruto. Like, well, I don't know the
understand
inspiration
it
behind that. Like,
I don't understand it either.
How different does goat shit look like? That like you can't recognize it and you're picking it up and touching it and whatnot.
I mean, Ramel's from LA. He's never seen anything like that, I'm sure.
But he's used the bathroom before. Like.
Fair. That's fair.
Whatever.
I don't know. All right, let's talk a little Creighton. You wrote about Trey Alexander this week. Yeah. He's, in my mind, I think he's the most interesting dude on the team this year.
I know, that's how you feel, yeah.
Because, I mean, I like his game, but two, it just, I'll keep saying it, they found something with him last year, And before Nemhard got hurt, he was kind of like still finding his sea legs, it felt like. So now for him to try and harness what he did at the end of last season is very difficult with Nemhard back, and Baylor Shireman can do a healthy slice of the creating. What did you learn from Trey about that dynamic this week?
Yeah, from my understanding, they still want to capitalize on that, right? Like they don't seeing the flash of him on the ball was maybe not a revelation, maybe not for him, but maybe to a lot of people who saw his progression through the year and maybe see the coaching staff even. I don't know. I haven't really gauged them on that front, and I don't think they would admit that anyway. But
I mean, there's no way they expected him for the transition to be that smooth.
Yeah,
no chance.
And so it's something they definitely want to still capitalize on, and so they keep spewing this idea that whoever's closest to the ball is going to bring it up. And to my understanding, Ryan is obviously PG1, but they'll take turns, running the offense through Trey, running the offense through Baylor. And I think the most you'll see it is, second side actions, third side actions when the first play blows up.
I'm thinking a lot of flow type stuff.
Yeah.
There's like one thing goes into the next, and it's kind of seamless.
Yeah. And then
give them a lot of freedom, which is that's how they want to play anyways.
No doubt. And they also don't want to get away from, the type of player they recruited and the type of player that, they saw flashes of that allowed them to be like, okay, you could take the reins. Like, still being poised as an off-ball player, even though the shooting numbers won't tell you that.
Right.
Still being poised as an off-ball player because, truthfully, in terms of bag, I love that he said this. He was
going to bring this up.
He made it clear, like, he got the best bag on the team. And frankly, I mean, you watch him, you see him in practice, like, I wouldn't argue with it. And so
he's crafty, man.
He's crafty as hell, man. All the turnarounds, all the getting to spots in between game. Like, I think that's really what I like about him.
Great finisher too. Great finisher.
Yeah, that's really what I like about him is being crafty around the rim, being crafty in the in-between game, having that love for the in-between game.
Good against contact too.
Yeah, and so they still want to, capitalize on that type of player too, and one dribble pull-ups and getting to your spot with few dribbles, stuff like that. Lifting out the corner off, off-ball screens and staggers and stuff like that. Like still running plays for him, but maybe not running through him.
Right.
So you'll see a little bit of both, I think.
You mentioned the off-ball thing. Shot 28% from three last year. I think he said to you, what do you say? Like, there's no way I'm going to shoot that way again or something like that?
And they always saying that.
So why are they saying that?
Because I think they set the bar so low that it's almost impossible to match that. I mean, he shot, 27% from three? The team shot like 30% from three. If you take a group of people and they've been practicing basketball for the whole summer or like 6 months, whatever, like it feels almost impossible for them to shoot that bad the way they did. And especially now they got it just as a team, like they added like prolific shooters. They added 40+% shooters.
Yes, I'm with that.
The team percentage should not be that bad. But it seems like Trey and...
But he said, but Mac has said like about guys like Nemhard and Trey, like they're not going to shoot that way again.
Yeah, and
like
it seems like there's been a real emphasis on that.
I appreciate that confidence. I want to know where it's coming from.
Yeah, it's something they've been working on in the summer. Obviously, they put emphasis on it, and Trey has kind of mixed some of that into his off-season workouts. Not just spotting up. I mean, that's a given, but also, like I said, lifting out of the corner and then spotting up.
Yeah.
Catch and shoot stuff out of actions. Nemhard's kind of done the same. I don't know how much he'll actually be off the ball. It'll just be situational. But, shooting off the dribble, shooting out of pick and rolls, a guy goes under the screen, stuff like that. And that's another thing I think that's encouraging for Trey is that he worked in a lot. He did a lot of pick and roll this summer too. Yeah. So
I do think what we talked about last week when Mac was saying about everyone's minutes are going to be cut just because they're so deep, and he wants to see them maximize the efficiency of those minutes. I think that relates directly to jump shooting because you're playing 35, 36 minutes a game, being asked, like, again, at the end of the year, everyone who was really playing was playing a lot. That's exhausting. That's exhausting, man. And shooting threes takes a lot of legs, and you got to be locked in, and, like, there's just was a lot going on. So that, I will say, I think that can help him out there. Switching gears, next week, you're on the road.
Yeah.
This is your first road trip, yeah? since we've been here. Very
Yeah.
exciting. Going to be in the Big Apple.
Yes, sir.
Big East Media Days. What you like you've said before, you have a very good feel for this team, what it's going to look like. So what is your mission? What do you want to learn next week about Creighton?
I don't know. Maybe just some personal stuff. See how these guys. I don't know who's going yet.
Yeah.
The Big East. It feels like most leagues have.
I
made
would
it.
guess it's going to be Nemhard, and that's actually kind of hard. I didn't have Sam and Derek. I knew before they announced that's who they're taking.
Well, Kalkbrenner has to.
You think so? You think Kalkbrenner?
What is it? Is it usually just
I was thinking
two
Kaluma,
guys?
though. Well, yeah, that's the other. Michigan State took 4 people.
Really?
Izzo took 4 people. So I guess you can bring as many as you want. Assuming it's 2, I would guess Nemhard and Kaluma.
Interesting.
I would guess. I don't know.
Sure.
But Baylor, sure. Kalkbrenner, sure. Trey, sure.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I don't know how they decide
I don't
that.
understand it's not even the secrecy on their front. I don't understand why the leagues are making it such a big deal to be the ones to announce it. Because we asked.
That's why I don't know. You could ask that same question about a lot of different things.
Yeah.
I don't know why they do that either. But, yeah, actually, interesting contrast while we're talking about this. So Michigan State brings four dudes. They also brought 4 of the women's players, interestingly enough. Minnesota brought 1. Hometown.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, they got a lot of turnover, but, they only brought Jamison Battle, who I did talk to.
No Dawson Garcia?
Major. Didn't bring Dawson. Nope.
Wow.
It was a home, and it's in your backyard. I don't know. Just thought that was a little weird.
Yeah. But, yeah, to answer your question, man, it's hard to squeeze anything new out of this team until they play
I'm starting to feel that way, too.
real games because
I just want to see basketball. And next week, Nebraska does have an exhibition.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and in comparison to a lot of programs, I mean, Creighton is wide open. I mean, for the stuff that's there, they don't hide. So, been pretty familiar with this team since I got here.
Yeah,
so,
right? They know what they were doing already.
Yeah.
So many, so much continuity and, the changes that they, the additions that, Baylor's a big addition, but, it's not fundamentally changing anything about your team. Farabello is just another shooter that you plug and play, right?
Yeah.
So they're kind of going through that too. I think that I would imagine that if not now, soon they're going to be itching to just get it started.
Yeah, I guess what I'm looking for is to see how they respond to national guys or
yeah,
Big
that's
East
right.
media,
A big spotlight
I guess,
on them.
Yeah, and just seeing how they respond to the questions that have been asked all summer, just with different faces in front of them, and maybe how they enjoy New York. I don't know. I mean, they live in Omaha, so
right. That's it's really easy for them to say, and they've been saying, "Oh, we don't care about the expectation." Well, this is what the expectations actually looks like. There's going to be I'm assuming they'll do Big East Media Day the same way they did Big Ten Media Day, where they divvy everyone up. The players are at different podiums, on the court, and it's different stations. So Sam Griesel and Derek Walker are at this station, and the Ohio State guys are at the next table, and so on and so forth. The Creighton station's gonna be packed, and there's gonna be a ton of people asking them questions. And these here, when they're doing the stuff here, it's pretty it's it's TV station or 2, right? And it's Matt.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of it. So that'll be interesting to see how they handle that. That's what that's the personification of big expectations, big spotlight on you. It's kind of the first look at them in that regard. Not that they don't take anything big away from media days.
Maybe we'll get some feelings on other Big East programs. Usually guys are too cool. They want to keep that stuff bottled up. Oh yeah, I don't have feelings about this and that. I'm just excited to play. Really gauge their feelings on some of the other top programs. And
yeah, who else? I mean, what do you watch from the rest of the Big East? What are you paying attention to?
Oh, I'm tuning in to Seton Hall.
Okay.
I'm just
Shaheen,
know how I feel about Shaheen, man.
Stan.
So tune in to Seton Hall. I saw a video of Patrick Ewing. I guess I don't know if you saw the Georgetown players were quizzed on Patrick Ewing's Knicks teammates. That was so embarrassing to me, dog. Because I'm the same age as most of those dudes, and they don't know who these guys are. Charles Oakley, dog. Come on, you don't know who Charles Oakley is, bro.
It's I don't know. I try not to get mad about, like, to me this is akin to like, oh, you haven't seen that movie that came out before you were born?
It ain't the same.
You're crazy.
Charles Oakley's been in the news.
I get it. If you're a basketball player, you should know that stuff. I agree with you. Man. But like, again, movies, like, you know, there's probably
a few of them didn't know who Mark Jackson was. Mark Jackson does half the games you see on TV.
Well, kids don't watch sports like they used to.
It's insane.
Kids don't watch sports like that.
It's insane seeing basketball players not indulge in basketball. That's crazy to me. But
I agree with you.
I kind of want to see. I kind of want to ask him about that.
I mean, I don't know. Have you heard like every Tupac album?
No, but I'm not out here.
Oh, crazy!
Look, I'm not a rap writer. I don't get paid to do that. I'm not the biggest Tupac fan.
It's kind of the same deal, though.
It's not, man.
It's kind of the same deal. Tupac's more famous than anyone on that team.
Yeah, that's fair. It's different dynamics, though.
It's not like I just held up a picture of Tupac. You're like, who's that? It's different. But it's not all the way different.
I don't know, dog. Because those Knicks teams are probably some of the most popular NBA teams of all time.
But, like, I don't know, like, besides Patrick Ewing, there's no other superstars. Like, John Starks is a very well-known name, not superstar.
They didn't even know who he was.
Yeah, it's tough. I agree with you. It's tough. But, like, I just think that's... I think it's more common. Like, if we did that with a lot of teams, I think we'd get more of that. That's painful.
Maybe it just means we're getting old and these...
I think that, like, being a historian is like it's like a specific lane. And I appreciate it. I like caring about the stuff that happened before, but not everyone's that way. We're getting further and further away from that, too. I mean, those Knicks teams, we're getting up on 30 years.
Don't remind me. Not like I was around.
I know.
But soon enough, we'll be talking about...
Because that was like the era right before us, right? So
soon enough, we'll be holding up pictures of like Shane Battier or some shit, and people will be like, "Who the f is that?" So
Shane Battier.
That'll really make me feel old.
Shane Battier. Okay. You got anything else on Creighton?
I thought it was interesting. So they had a 5-star drop a top 13, a final 13 today, which blows me because...
Wait, I'm trying to think. There was I forget which recruit it was. Oh, it was Peja Stojakovic's kid. Mm-hmm. Did a graphic and like I will be announcing my cut from 6 to 4.
Give me a break,
at
bro.
Whatever day on when I think it was like actually someone like Jeff Goodman or something was like, we're really doing this. We're really doing this.
Imagine being the 2 schools to get cut. Like, what a kick in the crotch that is, just to see this kid into his decision and be one of those 2 schools off that little ass.
That's tough.
Trim. But 13 schools is OD.
Too many.
It's insane.
Too many.
You shouldn't. That's like an ADHD list. Like, you shouldn't have. You know what 5 schools are in your head, 5 or 6 schools, and you know maybe the 2 more schools that have a chance. Just make it a final 8, man. Like, that's what I'll take. A final 8, maybe 10 from some people. If you had like this is Trenton Flowers we're talking about. So Trenton Flowers has risen pretty fast up the recruiting boards. He's a 5-star now. He's going to Sierra Canyon, I believe, this year. He might have transferred again. This is the thing. This is why I kind of understand it from him. He's been in like 6 different schools. Like, he's like another Dior Johnson. So I could see.
It's not as uncommon anymore, though.
Being in 6 different high schools?
Yes. Okay, but going to a bunch of different high schools in general, not as uncommon. 6 is a lot, yes.
Well, one, that's a red flag to me in terms of college, especially with the portal now. Because
sure. I see that.
At the slightest inconvenience, that means you're in the portal, to me.
Yes.
But it also means, I mean, especially when you're like announcing, I've decided to take my talent to Sierra Canyon. Like,
yeah.
I know those dudes get a kick out of this shit. The final 13, the final 27 schools, like, so that we got to abolish that, man, for real. The final 13 is crazy.
It's gonna get worse,
and I think
before it gets better.
You know, I was talking to a coach, and I think they pointed out to me. I think he was trying to go for some theme, like it was like a spooky type theme because October, whatever. And so they was trying to do like Friday the 13th, but today's Thursday. So
we're talking about a themed recruiting graphic right now. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. Yeah. Well, you know,
that's crazy.
Well, you know, Joe Tipton.
I'm not trying to knock the kids, but
you know, Joe Tipton, like that's his thing.
That's what he does.
Like,
yeah, he makes the graphics. A lot of the recruiting guys, that's how they get scoops.
But if it was his idea at all, Trenton's idea at all, like that, yeah,
sure.
It is kind of.
Yeah, you make it however the kid wants you to make it. I just That's sus to me.
Well, I doubt it was Tipton's idea
Sure.
to do that. So that I guess it is pretty. That would be insane if it was Tipton's idea. I highly doubt it would.
No.
But
Maybe,
I think it's
maybe.
insane either way. Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to. We need fewer recruiting graphics in the world. That's my very strong take.
But yeah, Creighton did make his final 13. I think they'll keep making his next few cuts. Maybe.
So where we go from 13? We go from 13 to 8.
Yeah,
Six?
I think they'll make the final 6. I don't know about the
Okay.
final 4. He got some blue bloods on his list,
Yeah.
man. And from what I understand, he really likes UNC. I don't think Creighton's been in on him long, but they've been.
Another subplot of this season though is if like they take off, like they might. Like,
Yeah.
and you could really parlay that.
Yeah,
into
and
some
they've been pretty
recruiting
invested
momentum.
in him too.
Yeah.
And he's, I mean, for them to get in relatively late and for him to like them so
Yeah.
much, I think it's a good sign. So.
One more quick basketball thing. Monty Bates charges dropped today.
Yeah, I saw that.
Very happy to hear that
Yeah,
because
happy
it's
for him,
just
man.
the kid's been through it. I
Through
want
it,
to see him
man.
play basketball. Tough for my Bobcats though. Got to see him in the MAC though. Don't love that.
We're not talking about.
Don't
the
love
Mac on the pod.
that. Don't love that. Real quick, I don't have rap takes this week. So we were talking about TikTok before pod, and you were coming at me.
Jimmy, let me tell y'all, Jimmy wants you to know, like you can almost feel it when you shake his hand if you meet him for the first time. He wants you to know that he's in his mid-20s so bad,
I just
and
think
he'll
that
express it to you. We were talking about TikTok, and he's like,
Someone, I think Grace asked me like, are you on TikTok or something? And I'm
Yeah.
like, no chance, no shot.
and it's like,
never.
dude, the TikTok is a fine app, bro. I mean, yeah, there's different lanes
Brain
that are like so
poison.
unbearable,
It's
but
brain poison.
if you get on the right side of TikTok, it is a great app.
I got
Maybe
enough-
not Twitter or IG, but
I got that's honestly it's more about, it's not that like I am so anti TikTok specifically. It's just like
I couldn't
got
tell.
enough. I got enough on my phone right now. Like Twitter and
And that's
Instagram
some real
already
old
take
shit
up
to
much
say.
of my time. Well, I think maybe it is some old shit to say, but I think it's some old wise shit to say because I think that time is just the time that you spend scrolling is just wasted.
this Dreamville
It's
beanie is cutting off
wasted.
your circulation.
Nah,
You
it's
think you
it's
Yoda
opening
now,
my
bro.
third eye is what it's
Yeah,
doing.
You think you J.
It's
Cole
opening my
now or
third
something,
eye.
Man. Give me a break.
All right, that's it for this week's Half Court Press. We'll be back next week. When are you going to New York?
Monday.
Monday? Okay, so we'll do it
I
after
might
we
need
get
you to
back.
take me to the airport, dog. It's 6
Yeah.
a.m.
We'll talk about that later. Hey, am I watching Diesel?
Yeah.
Let's
you
go.
got to.
Let's go. I'm gonna bring Diesel to the pod next week.
Oh, geez.
All right, that's it. Bye.